So capturing beauty through presence is what this is all about, and I'm using nature as the catalyst, so to speak, to ground you. So this is kind of it's a presentation, yes, but it's also a lecture in a sense to hopefully that will hopefully resonate with you. So tonight's program invites you to slow down. This is what I'm trying to do here. Step into nature and use photography as a pathway to emotional calm. Oof. The focus is not on creating perfect and fantastic images. Of course, we all want to do that, but on allowing nature to help regulate emotions, your emotions, restore balance, and reconnect us with the present moment. So, we're going to explore how nature and photography can work together to bring a sense of calm. So, finding calm through nature photography is what this is all about. I'm a big fan of nature, of course, like probably most of you are. And, sometimes something happens in front of you, like a sunset like this, and I just have to stop on my tracks and take it. I don't need to take 4,000 photographs. I just need to create one, and I'm happy with it if I can get it. When life feels overwhelming, nature has a remarkable way of slowing us down and reminding us that we don't need to carry everything all at once. And for me, that's been a big thing. This is a photograph not far from where I live called Centennial Park. I don't know if you can see in the background, there's little, hang on, I'm going to put my little there's a little fence right here, and there's a little pathway that walks right through it. I love to walk or bike. I haven't been biking because the eyesight thing, but I walk. And uh, and when life becomes overwhelming, as I mentioned, and for me it has been because of the not being able to use my cameras, it is overwhelming. It's really causing me problems in a sense because it's depressing. And I try everything I can not to make things depressing. I try to have a good disposition. I try to always be happy go lucky, so to speak. And nature has a way of kind of slowing us down, but also reminding us that it's okay, things are going to get better. I love this quote by Albert Einstein. Why nature heals. Look deep into nature, and then you will understand everything better. Einstein's, for some reason, is always right. And here we go again. And this, I think most of us have probably experienced it, just looking deep into nature and to understand. We walk through the woods, for an example, or sit beside the ocean, or watch clouds. I'm a big fan of clouds drifting across the sky. And something inside us softens when we do this. Every time I walk in the woods, sit beside the ocean, even now, like sometimes I feel like, not that I want to dwell on my thing with my eyes, but when I feel kind of like, oh, what's going on? And just to sit and listen to the water softens everything. Nature doesn't ask anything from us, ever. It simply invites us to be present, and it does what it's supposed to do. Photography as a mindful practice, and I think this is very important when it comes to using our cameras. And it can become a form of meditation, especially walking in nature. Whether I do street photography, which I love, it's one of my favorite types of photography, or I'm in nature, or I'm photographing architecture, or even photographing people, uh, all of it for me is a form of meditation. It's very powerful for me. The camera encourages us to pause, to observe, and to notice details we might even miss. A lot of photographers I talk to, it's really uncanny how we notice little things that a lot of other people don't even notice. I'm not saying that it makes us better. I'm just saying that we notice a lot of stuff that many people miss. And when it comes to nature, I find that that is actually too bad also. But every photograph begins with a moment of attention, paying attention to what you're looking at, paying attention to how you want to present and create towards what you are looking at. Goes a long way, but it always starts with a moment of being attentive into nature. Good photography is not about technical excellence. It's about presence. Of course, we want good photographs. We want everything to be exposed properly and all that stuff. Don't get me wrong. And we want them to be as best as we can. But that, to me now, I can only speak for me, that's not my number one goal. My number one goal when I create a photograph, whether flowers, street, whatever, my number one goal first is about me being present and trying to transmit that emotion that I have towards the subject or the message that I want to transmit. So presence to me is kind of number one when it comes to being wherever I'm at. The most meaningful images may not be the sharpest or the most beautiful or win you a bunch of competitions or be published. It's okay. It may simply be the one that helps you breathe a little easier. And right now, I'm thinking of Monica's pictures of her daughter with the love silhouette, and that's what I'm talking about. It's one that helps you breathe a little bit easier. You're proud of your daughter. You're proud of what she's accomplished, and so that photograph means a lot to you, Monica, and that's all that matters. In this case, just looking, observing ducks cross the pond, uh, it's a little moment that just became so calm, and again, when I say breathe a little easier, that's what I'm talking about. This is in Kingston Peninsula. And the photo on the right is just looking at waves that a boat is making. So they're very simple photographs, but on the same token, they're mine, and they are how I feel about how I felt when I was there. The language of trees. I'm a huge fan of trees. I love clouds also, but trees I love because trees, they teach us patience. Trees, well, we all know trees, like, they bend in storms, in windstorms, and all that stuff. They bend, they shift all over the place. They survive harsh winters. They lose their leaves, and then all of a sudden they grow again because trees continue to constantly grow. And as we photograph them, we may begin to recognize our own resilience reflected to us from the trees. And I find that trees, uh, are very intelligent because they speak to us. They really do. And that's what I'm talking about with nature. So don't be afraid to tap in to these things here. This is one of my favorite trees. It's much bigger than that now. That's an old photograph. But that's near where I live, Jones Lake, when I take my walks. And it's just a beautiful tree that I love. And I recognize it every single time I pass by. I just acknowledge the tree. So I think it's important in nature to connect to it that way. And even finding stillness in the small things, calm is often found in the smallest of details. It's really amazing when you spend a moment with little things and you go close and you go in their environment, how it calms you down. It really does. Nature can remind us also that beauty does not need to be dramatic. We don't need to add a bunch of, like, for an example, filters and layers and all kinds of masks in Photoshop or Lightroom. It just needs to be there. It just needs to be it. So it doesn't need to be dramatic. Just let it be. Sometimes peace even arrives in a single leaf, for an example, catching the morning light, like for the leaf on the right, the green leaf, backlight situation. So that's a very peaceful moment, again, being in nature. This I'm going to try to explain by telling a story. Okay. Listening before you photograph. This, to me, is one of I like this photograph. It's one of my favorites. I really like it because of the moment when I was there. This is in Grand Manan. Karen and I were doing a workshop. And this particular morning, before everybody, before breakfast, before everything, I knew I was going to have a very long day. And I just needed a moment by myself. And I just went by the beach, which was not far from the hotel. And and I was just sitting there. And for those of you who know Grand Manan, know when the tide comes in, man, you hear it. Like it comes in because it's a very rocky beach, a very rocky island. And it's gorgeous, gorgeous place. So I'm sitting on a rock, actually, listening to the water, connecting to the water, and finding peace and calm from the sound of the water, although I could see it. And it was very foggy. The fog was rolling in and all this stuff. And on my right was this scene here. The rock with the trees, and there was no crow. And I'm a big fan of crows. I love them. They're very intelligent, and it was just there. So all of a sudden, I'm just sitting there kind of tapping in and getting calm and psyching myself up for the day. This crow lands, well, where you see it. It lands right there. And I had my camera around my neck, but I didn't lift it. I didn't do anything. So I just spent a moment staring at it and kind of looking away. And the crow was doing what crows do. They just looked around, gawked a few times, but once in a while would turn its head towards me and then look away again. And I lifted my camera very slowly, very patiently, took my time, set my exposure, and went click. Now, I know this was not planned. A crow doesn't plan this, but it felt when I went click, there's the shot. I have one photograph of this. And the crow literally, when I went click, made the photo. It kind of turned its head towards me, looked at me, and took off, kind of saying like, it's about time you made the photograph, you know? So before pressing the shutter, allow yourself to arrive, allow yourself to be there, allow yourself to spend time with the natural things around you, whether sky, trees, land, rocks, whatever. Listen to the wind. Notice the sounds around you. Let the environment settle your thoughts before you begin making photograph. I never show up to a place and start photographing. I just sit or stand, whatever, and just wait and express and experience the place before I can capture it in a way that I want to express how I feel towards it. This photograph here, same idea. This is a little mountain. I really enjoyed, or I was really kind of in a moment there, in a little mood by myself. Not lonely. I wasn't lonely, but I was alone, and I was just kind of. Uh, this is at Freeman. That's the mountain across from Freeman's deck. So for those of you who know it, I was just sitting on the deck by myself. Freeman was gone, and I was just kind of taking it all in. And I decided at that point, because you can see the sky, you can see the white line, and that's the clouds. And of course, you can see the mountain in the back or in the middle of another foggy little area. And I decided to use a slight camera movement thing here to document the loneliness of me being alone um, at that point. So it's all little stories that you can tell when you just take the time to understand how you are feeling at that time. And it starts with a pause. Very simple, just pause, just stop. That's the same mountain, by the way, from Freeman's Deck. Just pause, just take a moment, then take a breath. Take a nice breath, take it all in from in your lungs. It really soothes you and it calms you right down. Then observe. Just observe. And sometimes you can observe with your eyes only in your heart or even with your lens, but just observe. Take your time. And then that leads you to feeling. And then you can express how the whole scene or the whole capture, if you will, resonates with you in the end result. Like trees, like mountains, like crows. I'm a big fan of water, and being in Atlantic Canada, we are surrounded, totally surrounded by water. And when I'm near water, I feel very at ease. I'm home. Water naturally draws us into the present moment. It really does. I think because of the tides. 1 minute the tide comes in, especially this is at the Bay of Fundy. We have the highest tides in the world, and when the tide comes in, it's vicious. It really comes in. It's a spectacle that if you've never experienced it, it's worth it. It's really something. It's one of our gems, pride and joy of what this. Uh, I'm not gonna call. I'm calling it violent, but it's not violent. But this tide that comes in is really powerful, and it's really something. Um, so watching its movement can quiet the mind, even if it's coming in as at a serious base like the Bay of Fundy. And then and excuse me, and in that moment, photographing water encourages us to follow its rhythm instead of our own worries. And that to me is a very powerful thing because again, going through what I've been through the last couple of years with health issues, um, photography can't cure things, can't cure cancer, can't cure what I'm going through with my eyes, can't cure aches and pains, but it can for a moment alleviate the worries that you may have. And I think that is extremely therapeutic. And it brings you back to your roots of what brought you into photography in the first place. The love of documenting, the love of sharing, the love of nature, the love of being with others, etc. Okay, so that's um, what this means. It's that moment when you're connecting to nature. It brings a moment of quiet reflection. When I mentioned earlier that how much I like trees, this is probably my favorite tree on the planet. I photographed it for probably 30 years. And every time I see it, I acknowledge it, I stop, and you're going to see it again in another few slides in a different time. This is spring. The other one was in the fall, about 10 years apart. And but this tree, I don't know why. I'm attracted to it. I spend time with it. I always go see it, and always before I begin photographing, ask this simple question: What emotion am I carrying today? Okay, and it's a really simple thing if you think about it. Like for an example, in this photograph, I could be standing in front of it and asking that question, what emotion am I carrying? And then all of a sudden, it could be joy, it could be fear, it could be frustration, it could be happiness, it could be energy, it could be edgy, whatever it is. If you tap into it, that's what's going to direct you to how you're going to express and photograph whatever you're photographing and how you want to transmit that message. For an example, if I'm feeling happy and gleeful and all that stuff, I'm going to reflect that in my photograph and I don't want to change it. I just want to have that peaceful moment within the image. If I'm feeling sad, if I'm feeling like edgy or tense or whatever, this, uh, I've acknowledged it. Then I can change it for the time that I want to express because that tree is not feeling edgy. So I needed to connect to that. And that's what I do every time. So I that's why I never come home with 200 photographs. That's why I never come home with tons of photographs because I spend more time trying my best to connect with whatever I'm doing or looking at than pressing the button. So once I've done that, once I've asked my own little conversation in my head, if you will, in my heart, that's when I will create one or two pictures and then either stay a little bit longer and then move on. But that's the whole thing here. Okay, then allow nature to show you something that reflects that emotion. Once you tapped into it, create accordingly and trust your intuitions. It goes a long way to capture, to create what you feel like creating. Now we're back into the calm. The art of photographing calm. Again, I'm using nature here. This is in Fogo Island, in Newfoundland. And these two photographs are probably about a year apart. But the one on the left, same thing. These mountains in the background, I love them. That foggy kind of feel to it, and that one wave uh, would just come out, then it would disappear, then another one would come, then it would disappear, and I could never catch it. So by just sitting there and spending time, I wasn't rushed. I was not in a hurry. If I would have left without having that little wave there in the bottom right, I would have left without it. So be it. But it came to me. It came. And so again, it's just about connecting with what you're looking at, what you're feeling, what you want to transmit, and what you want to express. The photo on the right is the same idea, at Fogo Island still. What attracted me to this, I was really taken by this. We all know what that is. There are two ropes holding a boat. Simple. But they're on the water. But look at the water coming in here. The water's going in this direction. But look at the water, how it's kind of roughly, like you can see the texture in the water. In between the two ropes, like a little capture, you can see it softening. I hope you can see that in your screen. And then on the other side of it is very smooth. You can actually start to see the reflections of the wharf pylons starting to show. So this photograph, again, to me, I was like, wow, this is like really cool how two little pieces of rope can calm things down from right to left. So what does calm look like to you? There's no right answer here. One person may find peace in a sunrise. Another may find it in moss growing on a stone. Who knows, right? But what is it to you? Okay, here with water coming in, still on the water thing, but still with water coming in, all I did here was slow down my shutter speed just a little bit to kind of give me that motion, that fluid motion coming in that I was connecting to with the peacefulness of waves coming in and out of my scene. But it's also the sound. As delicate as it can be or as ferocious as it can be, it's a beautiful sound, water moving in and out. Mirror a nature as a mirror. I have a few photographs I'm going to share with you that were done like probably 40 years ago. This is one of them. I think this was done in probably the 80s on film, and it was part of an assignment and workshop that I had to do. But often what attracts us in nature reflects something happening inside of us. The photographs we make can reveal emotions we didn't even realize we were creating uh, and carrying. We're carrying certain emotions that sometimes we don't even notice that we have them. And through this type of photography and connecting to nature, this comes out. I'm not saying that you have to talk about it. You can keep it from within, but you're discovering yourself within it. Nature is a mirror that reflects not who we pretend to be, but who we are when we finally slow down enough to see ourselves. And the first photograph you saw with the water in the hand is probably 40 years old. This one, not far from it. I was going through some old photos and I'm just flipping out at what I'm finding. It's really amazing when you go through stuff. But this meant to me when I wrote this thing. Okay, nature is a mirror that reflects not who we are trying to portray or pretend to be, but who we are when we finally slow down enough to see ourselves. And I think the camera has that power to do that. And that's why I love photography. That's why I love the camera. Freeman has probably one of the best quotes when it comes to this by saying the camera points both ways. Probably most of you have heard this before from him. And speaking of old photographs, when you walk out, walk slowly. Walking slowly. One of the most powerful, creative, and calming practice is simply slowing down. Walk slowly with your camera will take you a long way. This photograph, I just found it yesterday, and I can tell you exactly when I made it. It was in 1978. I was in Newfoundland, and it was my girlfriend at the time, Peggy. And we just said we were at the cottage and we're just walking on nature now. This photo today, if you, I don't know if you can notice it, but there's a lot of cracks, there's a lot of scratches in it. It was just an old print. You can see the corners kind of being decrepit a little bit. And all I did was scan it. I just gave it a scan, left it pretty much as is. Yes, I added a little bit of warmth to the color, but that's about it. But it's a photo today that if I would enter this in any any competition in any camera club, I would be booted out and kicked out of the club. It would fail miserably. And that's the part that I want to share with you. I don't care about that stuff because for me, this photograph means a lot to me. I try in my photos to transmit, if you will, if that's the right word, emotion. A lonely, slow, beautiful walk. And lonely, I don't mean it negative. A beautiful walk towards the sunset. So it tells a story for me. It tells a story. But you can see all the scratches, the dots, the everything on this photo. I left it as is. I left it exactly as is, and that's the way I'm going to keep it. And because I think fixing it will take away from the mood that I'm trying to portray. And that's a part that I find in this day and age in photography is lacking, is people are not concentrating on mood, emotion, they're concentrating on software to fix things. And I think there should be a happy medium in between all of this. But that's only my opinion. Let curiosity replace urgency, hence walking slowly. Take your time. My mother used to tell me all the time, when I was a kid, I had, I was bouncing off the walls all the time. Just go, 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 just couldn't sit me down for 2 seconds. And she would like always tell me, like, will you slow down? You will live longer if you do so. It became the joke between us, slow down, take your time, you live longer. And I tap into that once in a while when I'm walking around in nature and I want to take my time on things. And I think of my mom saying, slow down, take your time, you live longer, right? And I thought it was a good phrase as a kid. Little exercise, little thing that I do also that I think goes a long way. We do that in many occasions when people do yoga, meditate, do sports, do all kinds of different things. There's breathing exercise. And for me, breathing in the landscape when I'm in nature is really something. So the typical thing, inhale for 4 seconds, exhale six, take the photo. Use your breath to guide your photography. It calms you down. Breathing deeply before taking a picture helps calm the nervous system and brings you into the present moment. It really does. If you just take the time to slow it down, just slow it down. Photographing light, it's in the word. Light is in the word of photography. Light can become a powerful symbol of hope, healing, and possibilities. Notice where light appears in nature and what emotion it awakens in you. Now, again, here's a sunset. It's not quite how I saw it, it's how I'm presenting it to you due to exposure and all that stuff. But I was with a friend, an old photo friend of mine, and where it's near Shediac, and that sunset was just dramatic. And I was kind of trying to figure out the exposure to underexpose and to kind of give me that weird, not weird, sorry, that look, that dramatic look, drama through over underexposure. And all of a sudden, I'm there tapping into this and just kind of liking it and really resonating with this. And he looks at me and he goes, damn. And I went, what's going on? He says, Jesus, too bad there's not a speedboat with a water skier in the back of it. It would just change the picture. And he's never been on an outing with me ever since. He I couldn't, it was just didn't, I don't know, it just didn't make sense to me when he said that. But light, we say in photography, we sculpt with light. I don't know if you can notice that there's a face there. Um, and that was a real, that's actually in Cape and Rage, actually, Karen. And when that light was coming down and we see all these different shapes and all this stuff, again, tap into that. Tap into it. Watch it happen. It will happen for you. And also, I know this sounds corny maybe, but gratitude through the lens. There's my tree again. That's that little tree that I showed you from before. You know, and sometimes I'll ask a question, and I just bear with me here. What are things in nature that you appreciate today? So whenever you're there, what do you appreciate right there and then, right at that time? Gratitude, to me, it gently shifts the attention away from the stress and towards connection. So use your camera to photograph moments that make you feel grateful or thankful. When I see that tree, I'm always happy to see it. I know it sounds a little weird, but I'm always happy to see that tree. And I can't wait to see it again. And right next to that tree, there's all these little flowers that pop out and just come in. Also, not far from all of that, nature lives. Nature is alive. And it really, I think, resonates and encourages you to live your full life in a sense. You know, this little ladybug, what a gift that she came and hung out with me. So I followed it around for a bit. The web, the spider web. You know, when I look at a spider web, if you notice this web, look at all the water drops. I can assure you that all the weight of these water drops is probably 100 times more than the weight of that spider web. Yet the web is holding the whole thing together. Isn't that a marvel? Isn't that a marvelous thing? That a little spider can design and build that. It's really, to me, extraordinary. And boy, I mean, a little thing like that can spend days or whatever, how long it takes to build that. And then all of a sudden a big wind comes or rain, the whole thing falls apart and it starts all over again. Without complaining, it just does it. Then there's the dragonfly. I just love them. They're a lot of fun to hang out with. And I'll follow them. And for those 3 moments right there, for those 3 simple moments, I forgot everything related to me. And for a short moment, for a short while. Not that we don't matter, don't get me wrong, that's not what I'm saying. But for that short moment, I forgot about me. And that's the healing part of being in nature. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. And that's why I mentioned earlier about slowing down. It's nature moves at its own pace. It doesn't ask permission. It doesn't ask anybody to adapt. It just moves. And that's the wisdom of nature, including water. We often rush through life believing we are behind. We're always rushing behind things, rushing to the next red light, basically. When perhaps what we need most is simply to slow it down. Here, this is in Lunenburg, Nova Scotia. Just finished a 6-day workshop and everybody was gone and I'm all by myself and I'm like, I'm going to take a break. And I sat at a wharf and just took reflections of boats. That's it. That's all that is. Okay. Reflections of boats. But it grounds you, it settles you, it just calms you down. It just, you know, uh, and then of course it builds a relationship with your camera, how to use the shutter speed. The photo on the left is a very slow shutter speed with water moving. The photo on the middle one, the photo on the left is a faster shutter speed. So it teaches you to work the camera, work the relation with it. And so once you understand your camera and you know it intimately, it's when you can just let it go and connect with what you're looking at, in this case, nature. Closing reflections. Okay, the quieter you become, the more you can hear. Ram Dass. As we close this presentation, remember that photography is not only about seeing the world, it's about seeing ourselves. Nature does that to you. Nature is powerful enough to do that calmly. Nature offers us a gentle invitation to slow down, to breathe deeply, and rediscover the calm that has always existed within us. So the camera simply helps us notice that. And that's the beauty, again, of the tool that we have to communicate. Closing thoughts. My little thing here. You do not have to search for peace. Sometimes peace is already waiting for you in the rustle of leaves, the reflection of light on water, or the simple act of paying attention. And nature will guide you and take care of you for that. So with all that, your assignment, and we will send you the information. I've got it all written down. I've got it all figured out, not figured out, but all kind of explained for you. And you got all summer to do it. Your photography assignment for the summer, for when we come back together in September, is The Calm Within. That's the title of your assignment. We'll send you the information. So we're going to ask you to photograph 5 images in nature that represent peace, stillness, mindfulness, calm, and presence. Okay, so don't overthink the assignment. Just follows what draws your attention and let the photographs emerge naturally. So we will send you the write-up on how and on all the little tips and tricks to do that when you're using your camera. Don't let it go. And I just want to wrap it up with a little 5-minute audio visual. Some of you already seen this, but it's my little interpretation of The Dream of Flowers.